So guys, welcome back. We are here for round 6. You caught it a second into the game, so an Evolving Wilds has been cracked on the left side and 2 Forests on the right-hand side. On the left there you have Zach S., who is playing 4-Color Rally, so a deck that we've already seen in these matches, but a different pilot of that deck. And on the right, the deck will probably look familiar if you watched round 5, because it is the exact same deck and the exact same pilot. Jason M. with Eldrazi Ramp, and here it is. He starts off with a Hangerback Walker, X equaling 1, just the same way that he did last round.
Yep.
So, interesting. Again, we get to see 4-Color Rally again. I really enjoy that deck. The deck did really well both times that we've seen it. So, Let's see which of the two pulls it out here. So it is the last round of the day. It is not the top match of the day. But again, we're just trying to showcase a couple of different matchups here, and it's been a complete blast. So if you guys have stuck it out with us all the way through, thank you so much. I know I've really enjoyed it.
I've been having fun.
Exactly. Just for you guys, if this is for some reason the first one you're watching, I'm Joe.
I'm Shanaz.
So thanks for joining us here. It looks like a Grim Haruspex comes down on Zach's side. So let's see. And an Elvish Visionary, drawing a card, getting some card advantage there. That's really important.
Don't see a Jace.
No, but Sidisi's Faithful comes down, bouncing the Hangerback Walker, which is good and bad. I mean, there's only 2 lands out on the ramp deck side, which is a weird sentence to have to say.
Yep.
But the Hangerback
Still
Walker,
only 2 lands.
The Hangerback Walker comes back out. He does not look happy, though. I mean, you can just see his hands, but you can tell there's a little bit of frustration there. Second Elvish Visionary, more card advantage.
Getting card advantage, getting lands.
That's a shame when you have to see a ramp deck not have lands. Just definitely getting frustrated again.
Hey, look at the draw, man.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, just because we were there and we saw it happen, Jason was definitely in good spirits about it.
Yep.
So he plays a second Hangerback Walker, which is great. At least having stuff to do with 2 lands.
He has blockers. He can pump them.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of
activated ability,
speaking of him being a good sport, at the top end of your screen there, you can see him just laying out his hand. He's okay with showing it to Zach.
He's fine. It's a telepathy, just on. It's turned on. It's no problem.
Yep. 2 Explosive Vegetations, 2 Nissa's Pilgrimages. It looks like a Warping Whale over there as well. So just kind of throwing his hands up. He can't draw a land. If he draws 1 land, he's got Nissa's Pilgrimage after Nissa's Pilgrimage.
That's all he needs. He needs that 1 land to start ramping like crazy.
2 Warping Whales. There's an Ulamog there as well. You hate to see it. It does happen. So actually, I think this may even be the first time that we're really seeing just a complete lack of lands in any of these rounds. And it does happen. It is a part of Magic. I don't know if there's been a player who's been playing Magic for more than a week who has not had that, like, I'll keep this 2-land hand, no big deal, and they don't see a single one for the rest of the game.
And you just get mana locked, and you're just kind of like, never mind. I'm just not going to play anything.
It just happens. And I mean,
I've done that plenty of times.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about it. Zach's actually been running really well. He's just turning it. No. Yeah, that's it. I mean, the frustration setting that wasn't even a land. He looked at the top card, that wasn't even a land. So
he went through quite a few draws and didn't hit any land.
Yeah,
that's actually nothing against him or his deck, but that's very rare that happens.
And we've seen his deck work well, so it's not even that you can't say that it's built correctly. We just saw it in the last round, so it just bad luck there for Jason. They're gonna sideboard now. It's unfortunate that again, Zach, we didn't really talk about Zach that much because he was running really well. There weren't any issues. He played double Reflector Mage at one point and just bouncing stuff, and that's kind of what made Jason have to give up. So quick game 1, unfortunate. Let's see if the ramp deck can pull it back together in game 2, and we'll be back to you with that in just a moment.
All right, we're just going to get right into game 2 of round 6. First round was kind of fast, but they've gone through, they sideboarded what they needed to sideboard. So let's see what are the choices they made for the second game. I'm curious.
I know he didn't do it intentionally, but I have to say, for Jason, I mean, knowing the standard metagame, if you're aware of the 4-Color Rally deck, losing round or game 1 like that, you're going into game 2. He playing a Jadi Offshoot actually pretty quickly, which is great. But going into game 2, you now know what you're up against. You can sideboard appropriately, and you technically haven't showed your opponent what you have. I mean, again, it's a casual game. He showed his entire.
Has an advantage on this.
He showed his entire hand though. it was just for fun, whatever.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, this is not the top match, so.
But it was really too fast for you to really notice what he has in his deck and what he doesn't have deck. Like the offshoots. I mean, we didn't see those before.
It's true. It's true.
Were they sideboarded? Were they not? You don't know.
Yeah. And he did the right thing though. Turn 2, played it, and then played a land, gaining some life. So. The Jace comes down on Zach's side. We have not had a chance to talk about Zach a lot, so I'm looking forward to actually, see again. Zach ran really well last time, so let's see another 4-color rally deck. We've seen that already, but we've also seen this Eldrazi ramp deck. So let's see if Zach's is different from Paul's from 2 other rounds where we've seen Eldrazi 4-color rally. And here's the Kozilek's Return coming down.
He had to. I mean, the Jace is just such a staple of that deck where, I mean, if you have removal and there's a Jace on the board, get rid of it.
Yeah,
just do yourself a favor.
Catacomb Sifter comes down. Now, I have to say, any other time we've seen him use the Kozilek's Return, it's been for more than one creature, so he might be a little upset that he's only using it on one. It's good that he used it with the Jadi offshoot there, because it stayed alive, but as you were mentioning, Jace is just too big a game to not.
That's putting cards in his hand and in his graveyard. That's fuel for rally. That's possible flashback of
Collected Company.
It's just too big of a threat. Put everything you have at it. Once it's gone, it's at least gone.
Yeah, it's just I'm like looking at the board now. I think Jason just might want another Kozilek's Return, though.
Yes, that's true.
Because there's just a lot of things there. And I mean, Jadi offshoots actually, especially against 4-color rally.
Another Kozilek's Return.
See that? I did not remember that was what was about to happen. But yeah, it comes down. The only thing to survive is the Catacomb Sifter. He's going to stack some triggers here, though, because he's going to get to Scry. He's going to get to some Cutthroat activations, because there was a Cutthroat out there. But definitely did exactly what he had to. That Kozilek's Return had to come out. He is kind of looking at the Sylvan Advocate, and Jason is, and waiting. And he's
find the card he wants to keep on top.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was a good, very, very good board clear. It is. I mean, there's a lot of fuel for a rally right now.
Mm-hmm.
If he has it, but instead he's going to collect a company.
the other staple in the deck, the other important part, and I see a rally in his hand, which is unfortunate. You don't. That's the one time you don't want to see them is with a collected company, but gets a Jace and a Reflector Mage, bouncing Jason's only creature back to his hand. So. The Jadi offshoot, which is fine if he's going to replay it. He can gain some more life off of some lands, but it does put him at a little bit more of a disadvantage. And actually, there's a clear sideboard card in the Cranial Archive coming down. There's almost no way that was in his main board, but you see that you're playing 4-color rally. You get that Cranial Archive out, get rid of that graveyard. It doesn't matter that you're putting it back in their library. They don't have that rally fuel or the collected company fuel, because here's Jace activating, and you can see kind of Jason throwing his hands up in the air. He really has nothing to do about it. And so Jace is going to flip, and if it can flashback Collected Company, that's another big game. So the archive is gonna you're gonna want to take care of it quickly, and sure enough, just immediately does it, because Zach even sees what's coming.
It takes 2 mana to actually do it, so he has to flash it back. It takes two
loyalty to do it. And he's flashing it back. He gets a Reflector Mage. And so here comes a Jadi offshoot right back.
Didn't have enough mana to actually pop the archive. It takes 2 mana to actually pop the archive.
Oh, yes.
Didn't have it.
Yep.
Unfortunately, a slight misplay, but still not bad. Let's see if he's got... he has no more... He can still... Now, he can get rid of the rally. For this.
Yeah, it'll probably be an end of turn. You can kind of see him holding those two lands, kind of waiting for it. Just because it's such a big threat.
Very good sideboard. I have to say that. It was a very good sideboard against his deck. We didn't see any other deck use it.
He's showing his hand now. So it was infinite obliteration. So now you can't
he's
hear
just sitting
him.
on 3 lands.
Yes. Now you can. He named the World Breaker, as you can see.
Yep.
But the other thing is Zach now gets to look at the entire deck. That's just something that infinite obliteration lets you do.
Yep.
You get to look at the entire deck. You also get to see, since he got to look at the hand, you see a Chandra and 2 Ulamogs in Jason's hand, which would be really scary. But as you mentioned, he's only got 3 lands and
lands.
no others in the hand. So definitely a scary situation if he had a way to play it. He's bouncing the Jadi offshoot with the Reflector Mage, keeping the hand out there. We saw Sean do that in one of the earlier rounds. He's cracking the archive.
I mean, it's a little early to do that, but I don't really think he's got no lands. He's
it gives him something to do on his turn. He can still replay the offshoots. Yeah. I mean, and especially for a rally deck, you hate to see them, or not a rally deck. Excuse me. Then there's the Nessus program.
Yes, but get some mana ramp. Okay,
which is good, because I was going to say you hate to see a ramp deck not have lands. That's literally their entire point. So he's laying out the cards that he gets from the pilgrimage. He's kind of pointing out that there are 2 Kozilek's returns in the graveyard, so the spell mastery does happen. So he gets 1 more land, which is even better for him. It's kind of exactly what he needed to draw.
1 goes into play tap, another comes into play regularly, 1 goes into his hand.
Yep. And still showing his hand. I mean, he's kind of drawing it back because he's got to count it up, see if he has to discard anything. But again, was kind of being a good guy and
very good hit,
keeping
though.
it out there.
That was an extremely good hit.
Yeah. And discarding an Ulamog, we
He's
saw
got
that
one in his hand.
Exactly.
Word.
Exactly. We saw that he had another one. He doesn't need 2, especially because he's not really anywhere close right now to casting. Unfortunately,
I haven't really seen a 4-color rally deck mess with someone's hand too much. So it is a safe play on his part to discard Ulamog when he already has one in his hand.
Although I will say, I mean, Infinite Obliteration was played. That is probably, almost definitely a sideboard card. And with that happening, you're looking at the possibility that there's another Infinite Obliteration, and then you're going to lose your Ulamogs as well. And with a World Breaker gone and with Ulamogs gone, those are
really have nothing left.
Those are some of the biggest threats. A Crumbling Vestige coming in down, double Jadi offshoot means that he's gaining a lot of life. Sylvan Advocate also coming down, which means that it's pretty big because he does have 6 lands. So the Sylvan Advocate is going to be combined with both Jadi offshoots. Actually, is going to be a really nice way to cover the ground there.
Especially with 3 Reflector Mages out, that's 3 2/3s.
Yep.
Power of 6.
Yeah, but if you see Jace is activating on the Sylvan Advocate, which makes perfect sense, wouldn't make sense to activate it on the Jadi offshoots. They're kind of wall creatures anyway, so
a little bit of damage going through, but not a whole lot of creatures dying.
No, and he's discussing here how much damage is going through with the way that those creatures are stacked for attacking. He's just making it clear that the Cutthroat is the one being blocked by the Advocate and 2 of the Reflector Mages. So the Catacomb Sifter and the Token are getting through. And only one thing is dying, but it is the Cutthroat.
That very important card to get rid of. It's only got a 1 toughness, so it's going to kill you either way.
Yeah. And so, but the Cutthroat, you need to get rid of it, because otherwise you're going to be doing a bunch of life point swings. And to be fair, with both Jadi offshoots out, I'm sure Jason is going to want to be gaining a heck of a lot more life than he's losing. And there comes a land.
Every time a land drops, he's just gaining life.
Yep. And there's a Hangerback Walker. You can get your X pretty big, and it is
going for.
He's tapping 4. Is he thinking about more? Yes.
So
X
for 3.
X is 3. Tokens. Yeah. X is 3.
3 +1/+1 cards.
Right.
Sorry.
Well, that's fine. You might have been a little premature. We'll see if
that's
survives.
true. If it dies, he gets 3 tokens.
Yeah, exactly. So
just more and more blockers.
The Advocate is attacking now. It's only attacking for 2 because of the Jace activation, but it's still attacking for 2. That's still free damage. It does have vigilance, so there was no. And he actually attacked Jace. Because you saw Zach kind of bring Jace down a little bit there, which is great. You don't want it to be able to flashback any Collected Companies that might get played. Zach does have enough lands to play Collected Company twice, play it and then flash it back. So getting Jace down is a pretty important. And it looks like
in the right place.
He's asking, okay, so we were here for this as well. He's just double checking to make sure that you cannot just tap an extra land into Hangerback Walker so that he could activate his Sanctum of Ugin. You cannot, and so he did not do that. But that would have been great.
Even with the rules, it's the converted. It counts as a converted casting cost.
Right.
Technically, the converted casting cost for Hangerback Walker is always 0.
But right, and he's just seeing if he paid 7 or more, and he has to pay the X both times, and so it can't be an odd number like 7.
Yep.
So, yeah. But we see another Cutthroat come out, which is important. You can see Jason kind of prioritizing getting rid of the
No
Cutthroat.
husk, though, so he doesn't have an engine.
Right, and now Jace gets ticked up on the Hangerback Walker, which makes sense.
Look at that land untap.
I know you love when he does that, so...
It's like, all right, he's ready to play something.
Exactly. And you know what? Interesting, he does not have any Shrine of the Forsaken Gods, so...
So he doesn't have like a whole lot of... He has the mana base essentially, but the Forsaken Gods actually help him out a lot, especially with all his Eldrazi spells.
Yeah,
unfortunately, he can't play a World Breaker because those have been just removed from
those are completely gone. But he is playing another, what looks like another Nissa's Pilgrimage here, looking for lands. He's definitely thinning out his deck, which is a good strategy.
Yep. And now is enough to play Ulamog.
Yep.
10 mana for an Ulamog,
yes.
so he's definitely having enough.
He will have to wait till next turn because he's tapped out with or 4 of his lands are tapped right now. But all those lands are coming into play. Don't forget, he is also gaining 2 life for each of those lands that just came into play.
Yes,
which is a large number. So
he's managed to stall the game enough to the point where he can now get the big Eldrazi plays down.
Also, you gotta laugh when you look at the difference in sizes of libraries right there.
Yeah.
Zach's library is huge and Jason's is very, very small. Now, that's a good thing for Jason. I mean, obviously, everybody who understands probability knows because he's going to get an opportunity to draw, but we know he has the Ulamog in his hand already, so he really isn't digging for much. He's got the lands that he needs. We know what's coming next turn. And it looks like, based on what the defense that Jason has built up, Zach may be getting Ulamogged here.
Yeah, even if Zach has a rally in his hand, it's still not going to help him that much.
No, and actually, interesting. Here comes a Liliana, not a card that we saw played in Paul's 4-color rally deck, or at least not one that he had on the field if it was in his deck. But here comes a Liliana. He is attacking. He knows that if any of these things die, Liliana will get flipped up, and that's just another Planeswalker for him. And so you can see kind of Jason thinking about it there. Does he want to kill? Because the Hangerback Walker is the one that has the Jace activation on it. So the
seems like a creature is going to die.
Yep, and he's pumping one of the Hangerback Walker up to 4, but it only has 2 power because of Jace. So but the Sylvan Advocate is a 4/4, and it is he's counting it. It is getting rid of the Reflector Mage. So Zulaport Cutthroat happens. He's counting that activation.
And Liliana flips
Liliana. He gets a 2/2 zombie as well. And now he gets to activate Liliana's ability.
And discard a card, am I right?
If he ticks it up, yes.
Yes.
So
it's like he ticks it up, discard.
He ticks it up. Chandra gets discarded. That's fine. There's only one red source. It looks like on Jason's field, and so he kind of figured he wasn't getting there anytime soon. Besides, we know what's coming this time. At least I'm pretty sure. We'll see.
Yes.
Plays another land, gaining more life. It's not a red source though, so not upset about getting rid of that Chandra.
And he's counting. Make sure he's got enough land to do it. And here it
sure
comes.
Enough,
there's Ulamog.
There's Ulamog. And again, tapping them the same way you like seeing him untap them.
Both hands. If you got big hands, this just becomes easy.
Exactly. So Ulamog comes down. He's choosing to get rid of... It looks like Liliana and the Cutthroat. They get exiled, so the Cutthroat's ability does not activate. So those things are going away. They're going in the exile zone. Ulamog comes down, and Sylvan Advocate is still attacking. There's really, again, no reason not to. He's got that 2/2 zombie. That tip card there is the 2/2 zombie that you get from Liliana's ability. And otherwise, creature-wise, he was tapped out. So Jason just dealing some damage there before Ulamog comes down. And at this point, Zach really has to try to think of what he's going to do to get rid of this Ulamog, if he even can.
I don't. How do you get rid of something like that, especially in a rally deck?
Exactly. I mean, you have to exile it. You could bounce it theoretically,
but
you don't want that.
You don't want an Ulamog to come down again.
Exactly.
It's just constant because if you bounce the Ulamog, it comes back and it removes another 2 permanents.
And sure enough, going to attacks and turning the Ulamog to the side, you can see Zach has already picked up his library. So Jason actually, we commented on it before, Jason's actually looking to kind of make the libraries the same size again.
No, I think Zach is a little small at this point by the looks of it.
I mean, only a third of his deck just got exiled. So so there goes the 20 cards. He kind of fanned him out.
And that is if it was to the graveyard, that's just like rally fuel, but it's not. They're completely exiled.
Yeah.
No feel for rally. The only real rally thing he can do is maybe for the Reflector Mage, bringing it back, bouncing the Ulamog, but you don't want to bounce an Ulamog.
No, I mean, and again, the damage is not the worst part about Ulamog attacking. Put a 1/1 in front of it, it doesn't matter, like block it, but the problem there is 1 or 2 more attacks. Yeah, Zach gives up. As I was going to say, 1 or 2 more attacks from that Ulamog, and your library's gone, let alone your life total. So
I'll tell you right now, MVP of this game are the offshoots. I'll tell you right now.
Oh yeah, 100%.
With a 3 toughness, they can block all of the Reflector Mages that were out.
Yep.
They could block just about any other creature that was out.
Catacomb Sifter, Cutthroat, the tokens.
Zach's field just didn't have enough power to get through those through the offshoots, and not only that, they were also gaining Jason life at the same time.
A lot of life. A lot. It was definitely not... Sometimes life gain here and there is not as big of a deal. This time it was a huge game.
If you're able to stall out a game this long to play Ulamog, to play your big hitters, that's exactly what you need.
Yeah.
What you need. MVP of this game, offshoots.
Yeah.
So hands down, absolutely.
100%. And it's funny to say that when an Ulamog came down and you're saying that defenders were the MVP. But I in no way disagree with you.
That was the key to stall the game. That was the key to get him going. That was... And even if you take damage, it was like, fine, I can take it. I can just gain like 4 life a turn. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Or with Nissa's Pilgrimage, 6 life a turn.
Yeah.
So
it was fine. It was he had the right cards to stall the game out enough to be like, all right, Ulamog.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah. So, guys, we're about to go into Game 3. This was a fantastic Game 2 after a not-so-fantastic Game 1. So let's see if Jason can pull it out or if Zach is going to come back having had something preventing Ulamog from coming down.
Welcome back, everybody, to the last round, round 6, and last game of Game Day at Champion Card Collector. We are looking forward for this one. Both Zach and Jason have sideboarded more things. A couple cards were switched in, a couple cards were switched out. We'll see what kind of decisions they made.
And it looks like Zach just went for a mulligan right off the bat. Honestly, we have not seen a lot of mulligans today, even though, as I've mentioned before, I love the new scry rule. It really makes me at least a heck of a lot more willing to take those mulligans. You've mentioned mulligan aggressively and appropriately, but we still haven't seen it in a while, which is actually, that's good for deck construction, and it's good for, variance and the cards that you draw in your opening hand. But, so here's Zach taking a mulligan here, and
speaking of he can mulligan. He can mulligan for answers. He can be like, all right, I don't have I may have a very good hand. I may have a Jason in my hand. I may have like a Collected Company. I may have a Rally in my hand. But do I have any answers to what I think my opponent is going to play? Mm-hmm. And you can do that with the scry rule. You can definitely mulligan to the point where you're like, all right, I'll just take a mulligan and use the scry as long as I got if the answers in my hand, I'm fine with it. That's no problem. I'll take the mulligan.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing is it'll be interesting to see. We were commenting on it at the end of the last game. If the Jadi offshoots come out on Jason's side, and if Zach has an answer for them, or if he's just going to try to get over the top of them, play a ton more. So here's an interesting play. Oath of Nissa comes down. So really good for the ramp deck. It gets him more lands. I mean, he cracked a fetch land for it anyway. But now he gets a little bit more card advantage off of the Oath of Nissa. We did see technically he does have a Chandra in his hand, or had a Chandra in his hand, in the last game. So it is in his deck. And if you notice, he discarded it because he didn't have enough mana. Well, Oath of Nissa allows him to pay mana as if it were mana of any color to play Planeswalkers. So that may be how he gets a Chandra out. We'll see if he draws it, if he can get it out. That's a good way, kind of midway through. You have the early Jadi offshoots and the Nissa's Pilgrimages. Oh, he showed it to the camera too. So that was really nice. There were a couple of lands in there.
I think there was an Ulamog in his hand.
There might have been. Well, actually, no. That's not his hand. Those are the cards that he looked at with Oath of Nissa, and I think that is the Ulamog that he kept on the table. I'm not certain.
It was on the right side, I believe.
But we'll see. Yeah, exactly.
Think he took an Ulamog. Yep. If he didn't have one in his hand, and he feels like that he has the mana ramp in his hand for it, then absolutely, it would definitely definitely a good play there. Plays a Sanctum.
Sanctum of Ugin comes down. Now, we've mentioned this with Jason before. He was trying in the last game to get enough mana out to activate the Sanctum and was not able to do so. We did also witness in the last round that he forgot to activate it. And that was a big game. Yes. Yep. So, no, was it the Ulamog or the World Breaker?
Oh, the World Breaker, yes.
I believe it was the World Breaker when the World Breaker came down.
Previous rounds.
Yes, and so that's something that you can be sure he's not going to forget about again, or, something that's going to be in the back of his mind about, make sure that this gets used. And again, it's the last round. We're just having fun. So we'll see. Warping Whale coming down. Something that he's using to play it, or using it to play an Eldrazi Scion, so that die is going to be used for the Scion, but he's also sacrificing it to get that explosive vegetation.
That's a very good play. He's playing cards in his hand just specifically for the mana ramp at this point. The Whale could have been great for any type of removal or whatnot, but still chose to use it for the Mana XL, and at that point he was like, okay, all right, is Zach going to be on the back foot? Does he know he has something in his hand that's big enough to be like, be okay? He's on 5 lands already, and it's his turn again.
Right.
So at this point, you got to be thinking, okay, probably got some big things in his hand, since he's able to play so many things in order to get to that point where he can just be like, I'll just sacrifice this card just for more mana.
Well, and sure enough, I mean, we were talking about it a little bit. Now he did this correctly, right? So he played the Jadi offshoot first, then for 1 mana. Then he tapped 3 and played the Nissa's Pilgrimage. He just checked his graveyard because Warping Whale is an instant or sorcery, as is Explosive Vegetation. So Spell Mastery is out. 3 lands come down with the Pilgrimage, gaining more life with the offshoot, which, as we've seen, is not inconsequential. So that's a pretty big deal.
Very impressive play from Jason.
Exactly, I like that a lot.
Thinking that entire thing out. He was essentially thinking out 2 turns.
And Sylvan Advocate coming down. Now he does have the 6 lands, so again, it is a bigger creature than it would have been if he had played it down before doing the Nissa's Pilgrimage Jadi offshoot combo that we just talked about. So a great job there. And Zach, we didn't mention it, but Zach, as you can see, has the Catacomb Sifter and an Eldrazi Scion token out. So we're seeing him tapping 3 here and playing an Antuco Husk.
Okay, he has his engine out.
I don't know that we saw a Husk from him at all so far.
Didn't.
So
we didn't. If he has a collected, if he draws either into a collected company, that you can see some. You can definitely see a big play happen out of Zach. So It seems like both decks are off to a great start.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And another Nissa's Pilgrimage. So again, first of all, definitely more life gain. Second of all, he's counting up his lands here. That's an incredible number of lands, with 3 more being searched for. Now he just counted up. You could tell he was counting up forests. So he got 1, and that's it. He's shuffling. So he failed to find with the Nissa's Pilgrimage. So he only gained the 1 life off the Jadi offshoot. But at the same time, that's a pretty big deal. That means that his basic forests are done. Yeah. But that's good. He's thinned out his library. He's got a ton of lands on the field, as you can see.
He's got a ton of lands in his hands. Yep. So he's pretty much set on mana for the rest of this game. Really, he's pretty much sitting pretty where he wants to be. Now the question is, what does Zach got? What does Zach have? Is he set up the same way? Does he have a collected company? Is he going to maybe have play a Jace? Start getting going with his deck.
And there's a Grim Haruspex, speaking of kind of staples of the deck, and the Husk is attacking, or it looks like he's thinking about attacking with the Husk, and he changes his mind. The Husk would be good. He'd be kind of getting rid of some of his other creatures for it, but
that's true. But with the Haruspex, he can just draw cards off that. So it is an option. It is a play he can make. Chooses not to make that play.
Well, and that's also because, don't forget, on Jason's side of the field, he's got a 4/4 and an 0/3, so he can stop 7 points of damage. Zach would have to kind of have his entire board sacrificed to the Nantuko Husk to kill off both of those creatures.
Even so, that's still technically fuel for rally, and it's technically he draw plenty of cards off of it, so he can just either refill his field or or just play Collected Company and still have a board. So
But
I'm not sure whether or not that was the right or wrong play to not attack with that Nantuko.
But while we were talking, if you notice on the top side of your screen there, Ulamog has come down, and this time Ulamog has not targeted creatures or planeswalkers. Ulamog's targeting lands. And that's going to be a big deal. Zach is on 3 lands right now. One of them is a fetch, which he has to crack, which means he's taking some damage. But he's targeted specifically now, it looks like Jason has targeted 2 white sources. So we'll see how that affects Zach in the coming turns here. So, again, we saw an Ulamog come down last game, and that Ulamog ended the game, essentially. So let's see if Zach has any answer for it whatsoever. At this point, getting a little more fun here. Again, this is round 6, casual event. These guys know each other. They're just having a good time. But an Ulamog is down, so this is definitely something going on here. I can also point out, since we were there, this was a very watched game. So there are a lot of people standing around this table just having some discussions here. So you might see a little bit of a slower play. They're just having a good time, enjoying themselves at the end of the event. And you might see some kind of expression movements and stuff here from Jason and from Zach as they kind of talk to some of the other players around the table. But a Reflector Mage coming out, bouncing the Ulamog. We talked about that.
Deal with it.
Yeah, but we talked about that. That's rough. He still has the 10 mana. I also will say, I'm almost certain, as we talked about earlier, that Sanctum of Ugin is still on the field, which is kind of a big deal. It was forgotten about again, seemingly. I could absolutely be wrong, but I believe it is over there in that top section under the Crumbling Vestige. If that's the case, then, I mean, Ulamog came down, and that's great, but God forbid there's an answer to that Ulamog. That Sanctum of Ugin would get Jason where he needs to be, and just forgot to use it again. So he's attacking with the Sylvan Advocate with Vigilance. Zach does have some stuff here, but he's just letting it through. Again, at this point, Sylvan Advocate is not the biggest threat that he's facing.
Zach
right
doesn't
now.
have enough mana to actually play a Collected Company.
Yes. And now, as we were talking about, no, he does not. And he's almost out of white sources at this point, because that was what very appropriately Jason has been targeting. So the Rally, which is a double white costing card, can also not be played. So just attacking lands in general. But if you notice now, the Sanctum of Ugin has been pulled to the front. I think at this point Jason is just telling himself, I will not forget to use this again. So, because he does get the second opportunity. That Ulamog was bounced back to his hand. He's kind of counting it up here, and we'll see if he gets to play that again. We might see the same Ugin get played twice, exiling more cards, but he's not exiling the top 20 cards of the library this game. He has not done that yet, I should say, which is kind of why Zach returned it with the Reflector Mage. It is a big hit. When it comes back down, it'll automatically exile 2 things, but Jason thinking about it, and at this point, it's actually Zach playing down a Liliana. So again, something that we saw already, but
at this point, I think Jason has more land in his hand. Actually, that's exactly what I think is going on. I mean, he played Jason played a lot of forest so far. There are a lot of forest, but from all those mana ramp, I don't think he actually played all of them. Played all of the forests that are in his hand. I think he still got some cards in his hand that are still lands. So even if he gets targeted by the Liliana, he might just discard a land.
Yeah.
So Liliana doesn't.
And sure enough, he's actually discarding Explosive Vegetation, which is basically the same thing. And also, I will say, just because of the fact that we've been discussing it, a Jadi offshoot did actually hit the graveyard. I don't think at this point that Jason's too concerned about gaining more life. He's just going to play it. Yeah, he's just going to play an Ugin. But yeah, the Jadi offshoot went in front of that Nantuko Husk and ended up in the graveyard, which is a shame. It's been doing good work, and actually you see him again laying that Sanctum.
Again.
Yep. And it looks like, what's he targeting? He targeted the Liliana the last time Ugin came out in the last game when Liliana was out, but he's also looking at these lands. And so he targets, so Zach kind of laying it out here so that Jason can see what he's working with. He's also checking his graveyard to see how many white sources there are.
Land destruction is devastating in Standard, so this is going to be quite a big hit. If he targets the Liliana, he kind of doesn't need to. No, and he does. He targets the Liliana, but also a Plains. So another white source going down, and Zach is now
completely out of white sources and only sitting on 2 lands. So taking away both Rally and Collected Company as a possibility here, plus the fact that if he does not bounce that Ulamog, that Ulamog is going to attack.
Sanctum has been activated. Worldbreaker has been looked for. So more removal coming out from Jason. There's just whether he wants to get rid of more lands at this point or get rid of creatures at this point. There's really nothing Zach can do about it at this point. And besides maybe draw into more creatures, but how is that going to help? How is that really going to help him? Yeah. He could draw into another Reflector Mage, bouncing the Ulamog back again. But he'd just be more hurting himself at that point.
He'd also need a land in his hand for that because he only has 2
very true.
on the field.
It's very true.
So does get a land. It is a fetch land. He cracks it. He can get a white source with this fetch land. It's a Windswept Heath. So if he has any white sources left, he may be looking for those. Let's see kind of exactly what he's looking for here. The other thing is, of course, you would love to think that Jason would have searched for an Ulamog, but he knows his Ulamog's not going down. So Jason kind of laughing there. There is a white source. It's a Prairie Stream, but Zach is about to be reminded here of a little rule that the Prairie Stream actually comes into play tapped.
Yes, the rule is that if there are 2 basic lands, it comes into play untapped if you control 2 basic lands.
Which he only has 1. The other one is a non-basic land. So the Prairie Stream comes into play tapped. I don't know if that's necessarily a misplay, but it may be. That's definitely kind of an awkward situation where he got the Windswept Heath, and who knows if that was his only white source left or the only thing that he may have been able to target with that Windswept Heath, but kind of you can see Zach kind of throwing his hands up. That's kind of all he can do, and once Jason untaps, we're going to see Zach get hit with an Ulamog again because I don't think Zach has any way to handle it. And as you can see again, Jason kind of gesturing to the audience here. So there was a lot of action going around the table, but this is a big game. Ulamog is down here. It is Jason's turn here.
He has a Worldbreaker in hand, so you can play it. You can use it. You can target the Nantuko Husk and stop the engine.
But at this point, I mean,
he just attacks first.
He's just doing it, and as soon as the attack comes down, even before damage, those top 20 cards have to go away. That's completely devastating. I mean, that's obviously Ulamog's game. And actually, at this point, Zach's library is smaller than Jason's by quite a bit. And so the Ulamog is getting chump blocked and then sacrificed to the Nantuko Husk. Grim Haruspex, a card gets drawn, and here comes the Worldbreaker
for the land,
targeting the land again.
Might as well go for the lands at this point. And you're constricting your opponent so much on the lands, you might as well just keep doing it.
And yet, I have to say, Zach's still able to play something. You can see he's attacking with his creatures. He's like, I got to do something. The big stuff, the Worldbreaker's blocking here. He's changing stuff around, and Zach just gives it up. It was kind of a moot point. He showed the Warping Whale in his hand as well, so it was just way too devastating. Once Jason started targeting Zach's lands, the game was basically over. I mean, once Ulamog came down, the game was basically over anyway. But a great showing from both decks. Very, very interesting to see. I think they both did a really great job.
Yeah, it was both decks. Both decks were in full swing. Just one got a hit earlier than the other, and then just ran away with the game. Yeah, essentially.
Yeah. So, guys, I just want to say as we close this out, this has been round 6. I've been Joe.
I'm Shanaz.
And if you guys watched us for all 6 and joined us for all 6, thank you so much. If you joined us for any one of them, thank you so much. I had a blast. Shanaz, I think you did as well.
Yes, I had a great time doing this.
So, first of all, I want to say thank you to Champion Card Collector for having us for the event. I think it was an amazing time. If you guys liked it, let us know in the comment sections of these videos. Let Champion know on their website. Their website has been linked in the description of every one of these rounds. Go see them. If you're in Poughkeepsie, New York, go to the store. It's a great time. You saw a little bit of the filming with the interview that I did with Steve, who was one of the owners. So thank you guys so much for joining us. If you want to check out the rest of the stuff that we have on our channel, we do some other things here. We do more Magic-related stuff. We open some Magic product. But we also have an RPG show that we've been doing. That's more for our adult viewers. But we really hope you guys enjoyed. As I said, definitely let us know. Give us some feedback in the comments. Give Champion your feedback. Again, let them know that we said thank you. I know they're going to be watching these as well, but let them know from us that we said thank you. If you go to the store, let them know that we sent you. and so that they know that these videos are wider reaching and that people are seeing them. Thank you guys. We really appreciate it. I've said that a million times. I mean it every single time. And as we close out every one of our videos, I will say, in whichever of our videos you watch next,
we will see you all next time.
Thanks, guys.